Have you ever heard the expression, happy families are all alike? Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Well, apparently, Mr. Leo Tolstoy had never watched Married at First Sight.
Bruh.
We've just had our first commitment ceremony, and watching each of the couples on the couch, we see a very clear theme developing. It turns out that there's a commonality among the most dysfunctional couples this week, and that these commonalities are teachable moments. This week's theme is evasion. We have Tristan evading his deep psychological issues, Timothy evading intimacy, we have Jack evading accountability, of course, and Collins evading absolutely everything, including avoiding being discovered to be an inhuman android planted by a race of emotionless reptiles, a job he is currently failing at. So we're going to analyse each of the couple's couch interviews and see how this very human tendency can manifest in each of their unique situations, and hopefully, by the end, we will have learned, we will have laughed, and I guess lived and loved, I don't know. Let's get into it. First up we had Cassandra and Tristan, who seemed to both be very happy with the match.
How are things going between the two of you?
Things are going really well.
Besides Cassandra looking for more intimacy, during the course of the discussion it comes to light that Tristan hates himself.
Cassandra described you as being someone who struggles to love yourself.
Oh, I hate myself.
Bruh. Talk about bringing the mood down, guy.
You're all looking stunning, by the way, but not as stunning as my wife.
Yeah, man.
But John, you look good, you know.
I do what I can, Tristan.
That's good, that's good. I tried, but like, you know.
Tristan.
Oh, I hate myself.
Collins has an audible reaction to this.
Oh, I hate myself.
Can you relate, Collins? Well, don't worry if you don't hurt yourself yet, because I'm nearly there. I'll hate you for you. So the experts ask him what he hates about himself exactly, and he lists a bunch of superficial nonsense.
Just like a lot of things. Like the way I look, I think I sound annoying as well. I guess I don't think I do good enough when I try to do good enough.
Whatever he's got going on is clearly a deep-rooted issue, and it's unfair to ask him to articulate it right there on the couch. So then she lists things she likes about him.
He's thoughtful, he's patient, he's generous, kind, absolutely hilarious.
She says these things, and I know she means it. I just don't believe it in myself.
Of course, the issue is about how he feels, not about how other people feel.
Maybe when those negative comments come up in your own mind, you could swap them out for one of the things she's said to you.
I hate this advice. Apart from making me cringe, it's a stupid surface-level solution. Sounds nice, but basically nothing that can be said on the couch right now is going to have any significant impact.
That's a good one. I like that one. I'll do that one. That one's a good one.
So we see him evading the issue to just try to end this uncomfortable interaction as fast as possible. Yeah, good one. The man clearly needs therapy, and I'd be surprised if this relationship or any other will work as long as he avoids dealing with those larger issues. Next up, we have Lucinda and Timothy. I feel like Timothy is too light and fancy of a name for this man. Feels like more of a Bob or a Daryl or something. He's kind of a Wish.com Gerard Butler. Anyway, when asked how things are going, Timothy reveals,
I know that I can grind on a partner.
Does he annoy you?
well, no. If you were grinding on Lucinda, I think that would actually solve all of your problems. I think that's all she wants.
Does he annoy you?
Not really. No, I really enjoy his company.
Don't annoy her. Where's this coming from then if you don't annoy her?
Lol. Sounds like a spot of projection, maybe? He's saying he's annoying. Seems like he's the one who's annoyed. She is very clingy, but that's only because he gives her nothing.
Lucinda's a very touchy-feely person. I'm just not.
Translation, get the f off me for Christ's sake. So John tells him off, which is what he needed to hear. We've all seen Timothy avoid any kind of intimacy or vulnerability from day one, and I just wonder how much patience Lucinda's gonna have for it. Then we had the infamous Tori and Jack in the hot seat. Buckle up.
The dinner party, there was a big topic that came up that related to you, particularly Jack, about an ex-girlfriend on the outside.
So first John confronts Jack about the rumours.
I ended that relationship as respectfully as I could.
How long ago?
6-7 weeks.
Was that before or after you met us?
You do the calculations.
Well, no, Jack. It's a simple matter of fact. You're putting the responsibility on John to do the maths. Jack knows the answer's yes, but he's going to evade it for as long as possible.
Are you doing assessments with us while seeing somebody else?
Yeah, I guess it could. Yeah, I could have been. Yes, if that's the fact. Yes.
AKA, well, if I'm caught, then yeah, I did it.
Just to be clear, Jack, you were seeing someone else while you're talking to us.
Yes.
That's got to be embarrassing for Tori.
It's a weekend friends with benefits relationship.
But I thought you were moving in and meeting parents. I thought you said at the dinner party that you know everything about this girl.
Tori, has it left you with any questions about Jack?
No.
See, Tori is in a difficult position here as she's branded herself and self-identifies as a no-nonsense, hard-faced boss bitch. So now she has two choices. She can either kick off and blow the whole thing up, which she doesn't want to do because she inexplicably doesn't want to cut this turd loose. Either she doesn't want to lose him or she's not as confrontational as she likes to believe. In either case, that only leaves option 2, pretend it doesn't bother her. Oh, you know me, oh, I'm a badass. If it bothered me, I'd sort it right out. It's just that it doesn't bother me, that's all. Right, Tori. Convincing. Evasion. Now things get very interesting. It comes to light that they have not had sex yet, which Jack attributes to him being a connection guy. Absolute nonsense. Alessandra, however, isn't buying this, as Jack had said during the selection process how he likes to express himself.
It is an area that we spoke at length about, the way you like to express yourself.
Which is super gross, but whatever. Then Timothy foolishly brings the Eye of Sauron upon himself, which turns out to be a massive error.
Bullshit.
Run.
Timothy, what's going on?
Like the slow burn thing doesn't add up.
At which point, Tywin f***ing Lannister sticks his oar in again to report that
the conversation came up on the Bucks night. Would you sleep with your partner on the first night? Jack, you were like, no way, I'm gonna take my time and all that, yeah? You were, I would, first night. You were not the slow burn guy on the Bucks night, okay? Ooh. I have to point that out.
So Jack actually said he wouldn't sleep with his wife straight away, which is consistent with what he's saying right now. But Timothy said he would on the first night. And Lucinda, poor Lucinda, she's not very happy at all with any of this, understandably so. She's been having all these problems connecting with Timothy because he's a slow burn, and it turns out he's been making it up. So this is the second instance of Timothy's projection so far. Someone get this guy a bat signal because he loves to project. So poor Lucinda is left to conclude that he's just not that into her. Not cool. We need justice for our girl Lucinda. Anyway, these two morons pick stay. Jack and Tori, whatever, screw them at this point. They can punish each other all day if they like. Who cares about these two? They deserve each other. The real victim here is the child of light herself, Lucinda, who now has to sit in this nuclear fallout with a man with the emotional availability of Shrek.
My feelings were a little bit hurt by Richard's comment from the Bucks night. It highlighted how far Tim and I have got to go, because it just feels like the slowest burn even to get a hug. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit sore.
Taking it like a champ, as always. I actually think Lucinda might be a higher life form. The strength and maturity this woman has is inconceivable. So we see that according to Jack, he can do no wrong, dodging accountability with all the grace of a dyspraxic toddler. Surprisingly, we also saw Tori evading the actual issue and possibly her own feelings in order to keep the peace. This can clearly only have healthy outcomes. Next up on the couch we have Sarah and Tim. There's a very unbalanced power dynamic in this relationship, and we see it from the moment they sit down.
How have you been?
Good. Like we had like a little bit of some bumps happen.
We're actually doing really well right now.
She cuts him off instantly. Classic.
But we've had an emotional roller coaster, if you will.
Okay.
I felt like he wasn't comfortable around me. I was getting this like nervous energy, and I just kind of pulled back.
Tim, how did that impact you?
There was like moments where
you can see her struggling to keep her enormous mouth shut.
First couple of days were a little bit hard.
So after being asked directly several times by the experts, he finally gets a word in edgeways and brings up the weekly challenges, where he shared his trust issues and she later refused to show her phone.
What I was like sort of iffy about was your like immediate reaction on it. Because you were like fairly defensive about it.
I wasn't defensive.
Hilarious. You're defensive. No, I'm not. To be fair, that's a classic technique because you simply can't deny it without proving it to be true.
Was she defensive or not? I want to hear how he perceived it.
Love how she's looking around here like this is an outrage. That's right, lady. He's allowed to have a perspective too.
She firmly didn't want to do the task.
How did that make you feel?
I don't know if I've actually voiced this
You haven't?
to you.
No.
Yeah, because he's clearly terrified of you. Must be that fiery Latin blood.
Why? I was just questioning why she was so... Like, I wonder why you were, like, so against doing that task.
John then calls it like he sees it.
When I'm sitting here listening to you, Tim, you're talking but not really getting to the point. You're nervous about her reactions. That's what it looks like.
And Tim admits that she intimidates him, which is understandable. This is what happens when a golden retriever boyfriend meets a shark girlfriend.
My observation is that probably you do a lot of the talking in the relationship.
I mean, to be fair, look at that face. This is the face of a man untroubled by complex thoughts. Anyway, they both decided to stay, but upon leaving the couch...
Sorry. Just getting up. Yeah, well done.
Oof, jeez. Don't want to be him later. She's going to give him a reason to fear her reactions. This is the definition of, I'll give you something to cry about. So the only evasion going on here is Tim trying to avoid a beating. Next was one of the most boring couples, Ellie and Ben. I had to double take for their names because they're just so uninteresting. The only thing to know about these two is that she's family orientated and he simply doesn't give a fuck.
So if you were to ask me that question maybe 10 years ago, Ben, do you want to have children? Probably said no.
Well, what the hell are you talking about, Ben? Obviously. Is it 10 years ago right now? No. So what kind of non sequitur evasive response is that?
But they asked you like yesterday. It wasn't 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I've changed and I'm going to continue to change.
At this point, do you want children or not?
Just answer the damn question, Ben.
If I meet someone who wants that, I'm open for that to be my journey.
What the actual fuck is this guy talking about? He clearly has met that person. Is this his elusive way of saying he doesn't want kids with Ellie specifically?
So at the moment, like, I'm not 100% certain on it. Probably like 50-50 on it.
What a wet swipe. Well, having kids is not a 50-50 endeavour, Ben. Shit or get off the pot.
If he doesn't want kids, then this isn't going to work, you know, because I want a family.
Exactly, and she's made that clear from day dot. And I don't want to be rude or anything, but the clock's ticking for her. She hasn't got time for this wishy-washy nonsense. For me, the crime here is not whether he does or doesn't want to have kids. It's that he won't tell her straight if he does or doesn't. If he would give her a definitive no, then she could be like, fine, great, and move on. But right now, she's left in limbo with no clear answer. What a tool. Avoiding being honest apparently because he just isn't bothered enough to do so. Anyway, they both choose to stay too. Next up we had Lauren and Jonathan. These two say how things have been going good and that they have been intimate recently.
I like deep emotional conversations. I think that's how you really get in to know someone.
Of course you do, you tedious clockwork man.
I find it horrific.
So it is decided that Lauren needs to work on being more sappy, and they both decide to stay. It's worth mentioning that all the couples have been doing annoyingly cutesy kisses and hearts on their stay card.
Stay with a smiley face. I wrote stay with a smiley face.
I've said stay and a little kiss and a hug.
Very cute.
I honestly expected Jonathan to have written it in monotype. The next couple up was Jaden and Eden. He relays the crazy story about his ex to the experts. I have not much to say about this one. It's a pretty crazy story, but it is what it is. Not much analysis to be done. So, Natalie and Collins. These two never really had a chance. She's burdened by grief, and he has no experience in relationships and a total inability to be sincere.
Hoping to see a more authentic side to Collins, Natalie had a change of heart.
I'm not sure there is an authentic side. Man's a facade all the way through. A cake that's all frosting.
Given up so much to be here, especially with the recent passing of my dad. I had such high hopes for finding love.
Bad idea. Avoiding loss by trying to replace the familial love with romantic love. A plan that's doomed to fail.
I'm not sure if I've seen that authentic Collins.
No, you haven't, because looking for authenticity from Collins is like shopping for a Gucci bag on Temu. On the couch, they first start talking about the dinner party and how after walking in they separated. She expresses how she felt alone.
It killed me to hear that during that dinner party she felt alone. Absolutely killed me.
Once, how have you showed Natalie that connected with her?
I've tried, I really have.
I've tried, I really have. Already annoys me. The insincere tenor in his voice just winds me up.
So...
What is that?
I'm really struggling because so far since the beginning of this experiment, it has been prevalent that Nat's grief has been a huge, huge part of this experiment. So,
blaming her grief, not a good look, dude. I mean, it is conceivable that that would be an obstacle, but we know that if anything, she's been more vulnerable than ever because of her grief, and he's just been standing around kicking tires the whole time. We've seen how it goes with these two. I feel sad about my dad. Can I have a hug? Looks like rain today, eh? Waste man.
Natalie, when you've been with Collins, do you feel like you've been present with him?
Yes.
I mean, I believe her, but she's not really objective enough to say that, is she?
Grief aside, to the best of her ability, she has been present.
Then Collins grows some stones and claps back on John.
Sorry, you just said grief aside.
Because I'm trying to make a point that...
I'm sorry, if we're being honest, I don't agree with you.
This...
You know what, John, let me tell you, okay?
I haven't finished talking.
So John tells him he needs to do more and asks him what he thinks he can do to get closer to Natalie.
I came to you for advice. What should I do?
What, to
you
stay
tell
together?
me.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm not here to tell you what to do.
You're not? You're not here to give me advice?
Such a bizarre interaction. I've never seen someone be so obsequious and so obtuse at the same time. It's a skill.
Just think about it. If you decide to
You
stay
tell
together...
me. No, I'm sorry.
Tell me, John. Tell me. He wants to be programmed like the android he is. Extend your arm to the side at a 90-degree angle. Reach it over Natalie's shoulders. Very good. Now relax the appendage and allow it to fall across her. Is that what you're looking for, Collins? Is that instruction enough?
What would you do this week that would make it blossom?
I would love to do things together.
What sort of things?
Doing life together.
Doing life together. Did he scan that from a Hallmark card or some shit? So phony. I don't believe him.
Is you want to move in with her?
From day one, yes.
Initiate enthusiasm, subroutine, sincerity, algorithm, not found.
Collins has said quite clearly that he wants to move in with you. How do you feel about that?
I don't trust him.
Entirely understandable. If Terminator and Skynet or HAL and A Space Odyssey have taught us anything, it's that we shouldn't put too much trust in poorly developed AI.
So do you feel a connection, Collins?
Mate, I do feel a connection.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
How do you feel about Natalie?
Mate, I feel awesome. She's good fun. She's a top lady. She's so pure.
Blah, blah, frickin' blah. Can we get a politician in here so we can get some straight answers, please?
The feelings of wanting to build something, a potential romance.
What is that feeling?
Those butterflies, those... Ooh, what's this feeling? That's a little bit different.
This is just getting ridiculous now. And to be honest, this is unfair of John, asking a walking script block to describe love. Although, to be fair, ChatGPT would have done a much better and less cringy job of answering that question. So she decides to leave. Again.
And that's why I said leave.
I don't know what I've done said to lose that trust.
The theatrics are awful. I've been to amateur productions of Rent that were more convincing.
Show me the card. What did you decide to do, stay or leave?
Oh, my God. What can I do?
We just want a decision.
Want to stay, mate.
It can grow from here.
Don't bother. Just let him go, John. You think Tin Man over here is going to find a heart by next week? Oh, but he had a heart all along. So finally we get to the oldies. They're getting along well, not much to report. This video's gone on for far too long, so the highlights are they've been humping like geriatric rabbits. I'm sure no little blue pills were involved in that process.
2 to 4 times a day.
Stop it!
Every day.
Yes, he was very keen to share that with the group. We don't need to know about that, old man.
I'm wondering if you could perhaps share with the group. What can you share with them that you think might be helpful?
A choice is different from a decision. A decision is, do I not this, or maybe it's got reasons behind it. A choice is a choice. I choose Andy because I choose Andy. And that's what I'm committed to, and that's what I'm going for.
What? What kind of absolute nonsense was that? It sounds deep, but there's no substance to it whatsoever. And everyone eats it up. Well, he's a motivational speaker by trade, so I guess that's what you get. Just feel like his clients might be being shortchanged. Conclusion. I said at the top of the video that we were going to see a lot of evasion today, and that we did. However, that was mostly manifest through a lack of communication. Two sides of the same coin, really. It's interesting how this plays out differently in the different couples though. With Tim and Sarah, the communication issues are due to Tim's inarticulate nature, combined with Sarah's reluctance to listen. We have the seeds of a toxic situation on our hands there. With Collins and Nat, however, it's just evasion and artifice all the way through. Such a bizarre individual. I wouldn't be surprised if it later transpires that he has some kind of mental disorder, and it turns out we were all being really mean all along. I just can't think what that disorder would be. Is being theatrical a diagnosis? I have little hope for most of the other couples either, namely Cassandra and Tristan. His issues are going to torpedo that relationship unless he confronts them. That's the antonym of evade, FYI. And of course, Jack and Tori are a joke. Thanks for watching, you select few who made it to the end. I appreciate it, really. If you're hearing this, then I think I've earned myself a like at least. No? Give me some encouragement to keep making these. Also, subscribe if you'd like to see the next one. Comment if I missed anything, or if you think my analysis is wrong anywhere. And see y'all in the next one.